Imagine for a moment what would happen if the borders drawn in 1947 suddenly disappeared. What if India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh decided to reunite as one massive nation? It sounds like something out of an alternate history novel, right? But let's dive deep into this fascinating thought experiment and explore what such a union could mean for our world today. The numbers alone are staggering. We're talking about combining India's economy of over $17 trillion with Pakistan's roughly $400 billion economy and Bangladesh's nearly $500 billion GDP. Together, this unified nation would instantly become the world's third largest economy, trailing only the United States and China. That's a combined population of over 1.7 billion people, making it the most populous country on earth by a significant margin. Think about the economic potential here. India is already the world's fifth largest manufacturer and has the third largest consumer market globally. Pakistan brings substantial agricultural resources and a strategic location connecting South Asia to Central Asia and the Middle East. Bangladesh contributes one of the world's largest textile industries and a rapidly growing digital economy. When you combine these strengths, you get an economic powerhouse that could reshape global trade patterns overnight. The agricultural synergies would be remarkable. Remember, the partition of 1947 split some of the world's most fertile lands. The Indus Valley, the Ganges Delta, and the Punjab region were artificially divided. A reunified nation would control the entire breadth of these agricultural zones, potentially solving food security issues that have plagued the region for decades. The combined irrigation systems from the Indus to the Brahmaputra would create an agricultural network capable of feeding not just the subcontinent but contributing significantly to global food security. But here's where it gets really interesting from a geopolitical perspective. This unified entity would fundamentally alter the balance of power in Asia and beyond. China would suddenly find itself facing a neighbor with comparable population and rapidly growing economic might. The current China-Pakistan economic corridor, a key part of Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative, would need complete recalibration. Instead of having Pakistan as a strategic ally against India, China would face a unified bloc that could challenge its regional dominance. The nuclear dimension adds another layer of complexity. Both India and Pakistan currently possess nuclear weapons. A unified nation would inherit these arsenals, making it one of the world's largest nuclear powers. This would dramatically shift global nuclear dynamics and potentially accelerate disarmament discussions, as the primary justification for these weapons, mutual deterrence, would no longer exist. From a cultural and social standpoint, Raza, this reunification would create the world's most diverse democracy. We're talking about a nation that would encompass dozens of languages, multiple major religions, and countless cultural traditions. The challenge of governance would be immense, but so would the potential for cultural renaissance. Imagine Bollywood collaborating with Lollywood and Hollywood, creating a film industry that could rival Hollywood in both scale and global reach. The infrastructure implications are mind-boggling. Currently, trade between these three nations is artificially constrained by political tensions. Pakistan and India trade less than $5 billion annually, despite being neighbors with complementary economies. A unified nation would eliminate these barriers overnight. The Grand Trunk Road, which once connected Calcutta to Kabul, could be revived and modernized. Railway networks that were severed in 1947 could be reconnected, creating one of the world's largest integrated transport systems. Water resources, a major source of current tensions, would become a shared asset rather than a point of conflict. The Indus Waters Treaty, which has governed water sharing between India and Pakistan since 1960, would become obsolete. Instead of fighting over river waters, a unified nation could develop comprehensive water management strategies that benefit all regions. The technological potential is equally exciting. India's IT prowess, Pakistan's growing tech sector, and Bangladesh's emerging digital economy could combine to create a technology hub that rivals Silicon Valley. With a domestic market of over 1.7 billion people, this unified nation could develop and test technologies at a scale that few other countries could match. However,
let's be realistic about the challenges. The religious and cultural differences that led to partition in the first place haven't disappeared. Managing such diversity would require unprecedented political innovation. The federal structure would need to be incredibly flexible, possibly resembling something like the European Union more than a traditional nation-state. The economic integration process would be complex and potentially disruptive. Different currencies, banking systems, and regulatory frameworks would need to be harmonized. The short-term costs could be enormous, even if the long-term benefits are substantial. Labor mobility across the region could create both opportunities and tensions as people migrate to areas with better economic prospects. From an international relations perspective, this unified nation would become an instant global superpower. Its voice in international forums like the United Nations, World Trade Organization, and G20 would carry enormous weight. The current dynamics of South Asian diplomacy, where external powers often play India and Pakistan against each other, would be completely transformed. The relationship with the United States would be particularly interesting. Currently, America maintains complex relationships with all three nations, often finding itself caught between India's growing strategic importance and Pakistan's role in Afghanistan and counterterrorism. A unified nation would simplify these relationships but also create a new challenge, as this entity would be powerful enough to pursue truly independent foreign policy. Regional organizations would need complete restructuring. The South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, which has been largely ineffective due to India-Pakistan tensions, could be transformed into something resembling the European Union. Trade agreements, security arrangements, and diplomatic initiatives that are currently impossible due to bilateral tensions and conflicts could become a reality.
The environmental implications are significant too. Climate change affects the entire subcontinent, from rising sea levels in Bangladesh to changing monsoon patterns across the region. A unified approach to environmental challenges could be far more effective than the current fragmented efforts. Imagine coordinated policies on renewable energy, with solar farms in Rajasthan powering industries in Bengal, or wind energy from coastal areas supporting inland development. The defense implications would reshape regional security architecture. Currently, India and Pakistan spend enormous amounts on defense, largely to counter each other. A unified nation could redirect these resources toward development while maintaining a smaller but more efficient military focused on external threats rather than internal conflicts. Education and healthcare systems could be integrated and optimized. India's medical tourism industry, Pakistan's medical colleges, and Bangladesh's pharmaceutical sector could combine to create a healthcare system that serves not just the subcontinent but becomes a global destination for medical services. The sports and entertainment possibilities are endless. Cricket, already a passion across all three nations, could see the emergence of truly world-class leagues and teams. The combined talent pool in sports, arts and entertainment could create cultural products with global appeal. But perhaps the most profound impact would be psychological. The partition of 1947 created wounds that still haven't fully healed. Reunification could begin a process of healing that transforms not just the subcontinent but serves as a model for conflict resolution worldwide. It would prove that even the deepest divisions can be overcome through dialogue, compromise, and shared vision. Of course, this remains a thought experiment. The political, social, and economic challenges of such reunification would be immense. But exploring these possibilities helps us understand both the costs of division and the potential benefits of cooperation. In our interconnected world, the artificial barriers created by historical conflicts increasingly seem like obstacles to human progress rather than necessary protections. Whether or not such reunification ever becomes reality, the exercise of imagining it reminds us that the borders we take for granted are human constructions. They can be changed, modified, or even eliminated if there's sufficient will and wisdom. The question isn't whether such change is possible, but whether the benefits would justify the enormous effort required to achieve it.